Yeah, we'll hop right on the stair.
And we put it in the hand, the government has to see the issue. There's one reason why people leave the church, among other good reasons. Anyway. I think a lot of people do I have to pretend to work here real quickly.
I'm gonna turn the AC up so it doesn't come on. It's gonna get, I get a little bit warm.
Oh, go ahead, I'm just pretending I'm listening. Thank you very much. The Atlantic.
I'm gonna switch it to this mic. This one's giving me a little, actually, some real quick. Check.
Good evening. Welcome to the 2025 Municipal Candidate Forum for Manteo, the town of Manteo, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dare County. I'm Marion Midget, coordinator for this forum. I'd like to thank you all, as well as the candidates, for participating in this event. I want to let you know that we are videotaping. Mr. Carl Woody's taking care of that. Afterwards, it will be available on our website as well as on Current TV, 191, if you know the number for Spectrum. The League of Women Voters is celebrating its 105th anniversary, and we are proud to continue the tradition of bringing candidates and voters together this way to empower voters. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Amanda Hooper.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm a member of League of Women Voters of DARE. I live in Collington. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization. It encourages informed and active participation in all levels of government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League maintains a strict, nonpartisan policy. It neither endorses nor opposes any political party or candidate. The League participates in the Positive Campaign Project and has requested that each candidate tonight take the Code of Campaign Ethics pledge. We do not allow campaigning or campaign literature in the forum room. Please turn off all cell phones or electronic devices. Texting is prohibited. We request that you do not take any photos or videos during the forum. If you wish to take photos, we request that you do so either before the forum begins or after the final statements by the candidates. League members participating today are greeters, who will be passing out and retrieving your question cards, Betsy Brown, Janet Haspert, Barbara Lapiri, and Gwen Taylor. Question reviewers, Nancy Birondelli, Janine Emery, and Robin Hitteman. And our timekeeper tonight will be Lorelei DiBanero. We encourage a lively and respectful discussion. If you think of a question during the forum, please raise your hand and one of our staff will hand you a question card. Let me tell you about the town of Manteo candidates. There are 2 mayoral candidates up for election on November 7th, and there are 3 commissioner candidates on your ballot. Present this evening are Todd Klizold, Betty Govan-Selby, Michael Bassnight, Eddie Mann, and Ruth Jane Stetson. The format for the forum. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. The timekeeper will signal when the candidate has 30 seconds remaining. The timekeeper will stand if the candidate continues past the allotted time. Next, candidates will respond to questions from the audience. Questions were either submitted prior to the forum or they may be submitted during the forum. They are signed and include their town of residence or business location. League reviewers will review questions for clarity to avoid duplication. We believe this procedure affords the greatest variety of subjects to be covered in the allotted time. I will read the questions as written and identify the submitter. Questions will be asked to mayoral candidates in alternating order. The 3 uncontested commissioner candidates shall raise their hand if they wish to respond. Questions addressed to a particular candidate will be directed to that candidate. If another candidate wishes to respond, they shall raise their hand. The League advocates positive campaign practices, and we reserve the right to admit any question that is viewed as a personal attack. 2 minutes are allotted for responses. The timer will signal the candidate when 30 seconds remains, and stand if the candidate goes over the allotted time. Opportunities will not be extended to those who initially pass on a question. Candidates in competitive races will be called on. We already talked about that one. Finally, each candidate is entitled to 2-minute closing statement. Before we started, candidates drew numbers to establish the order for their opening statement. We will reverse that order for the closing statements. We will begin tonight with opening statements from Todd Klizold.
That mean I begin? Okay, I guess I have the luck of the Irish, and I'm not even Irish, but I drew number 1. So that being said, I moved here from Matthews, North Carolina back in 1991 and started my career in radio, which pursued into buying Poor Richards in 1998. I've currently been serving as a commissioner since 1992 for Manteo, and I'm proud to say I have not missed a single meeting to date. I serve on the Tourist Bureau as their treasurer. I serve on the Manteo Healthcare Clinic, or the Healthcare Task Force, which brought the Manteo Healthcare Clinic, in which at the time we desperately needed doctors, because I don't know if you remember, but there was 10,000 letters sent out basically saying you had no more care for a physician. I am proud to be part and to see the construction of starting soon on the completion of the Cartwright Park. My best friend and trusted companion, Melissa, and my dog, Ruby, have been my greatest assets and cheerleaders. My best friend, no, I'm saying, seeing the town go from the county hub, which I first came here, it was literally, this place thrived on the weekends because, on the weekdays, because on the weekends, all the county employees left. Later, the county employees moved to the new complex, and we had to kind of readjust on the way Manteo was going to continue. And I think with the old Manteo leaders and legends who I were lucky enough to get their ideas and listen to their stories and continued visions, I think it'll help guide Manteo in the direction that we all want to see it to go. These are just a few of the reasons why I want to run for Manteo mayor, and I ask for your support. I know there's a lot been coming down the pipe for the town, and I just ask for you to give me your support, give me your questions. I know a few of you in here have come up to me with trying to having concerns with things that need to be done in the town of Manteo, but overall, I would hope to serve to be your best candidate for Manteo. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from candidate Michael Bassnight.
Thank you so much. I am truly honored to be here. What a pleasure to see. What a pleasure to see all the faces. Kalita, we have a reunion coming up. I just want to remind you of that. But as an unopposed, I was asked to go ahead and go through some of the, where have you been? What have you been up to, Michael? And introduce yourself. So first of all, I want to thank you, League, for your passion, your dedication to our town and our county, and the focus on all the local women within each. I'm so proud to be a native of Manteo. I'm so proud to have been able to see a lot of the world, but so happy to be able to get back home as soon as I could. It took me a while. Blessed to have so many strong female influences in my life, since we are here for League of Women Voters, and many of these were active, involved in the community. But there were the loves of my life for sure. Mabel Hassel-Bassnight, my grandmother, Texie Tillett Meekins, my other, Lily Meekins, now Roland, Bassnight Roland, my stepmother Hazel. I was raised with 4 sisters, all very strong personalities, and 2 daughters. So I can tell you what the strength of our local female community and our entire ecosystem means. As a youth and inspiration, I had some good characters also. Aunt Cormay was the reason I went in the medical device industry. Aunt Dottie, Sally Sarah, and sweet Aunt Sandy. So it's just a pleasure to be here tonight as a part of this forum. I did graduate from all the schools in Manteo in East Carolina. And after graduation, and this is where it took me around a bit, many of you will remember my motocross track behind Foodorama. I was that guy. But in leaving, I went to Chicago. I worked for a Fortune 500 company called Abbott. That took me to Evanston and then over to San Diego, at which point I was there for about 17 years. I had a second home here and always made sure that my 2 daughters knew what home was, because that one day you're going to need it. And you're going to need those people, those legends. I was a co-founder of the Women Electrophysiology, which is a subspecialty of cardiology. It's an international program now, 17 years. That was something I was proud of. I did end up leaving St. Jude Medical and Abbott to go on to Bassnight Holdings Consulting, where I started working with smaller groups, organizations, and took a VP role in Mind Healthy. Currently, I have the Evans House, the Manteo House, the Pioneer Theater. I'm working with Lithic Industries, and I'm proud to give back to our community as president of OBX Coast Guard History Preservation Group, co-founder of Pathway Forward, OBX Community Foundation board member, Affordable Housing Task Force, most recently a past Maritime History Task Force member. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from candidate Eddie Mann.
My name is Eddie Mann. I am from right here in Manteo, North Carolina. I've got the ugliest dog, the two baddest kids, and the prettiest wife around. I have been a homeowner and resident of Manteo since I was 19. At the time, I bought the cheapest house that sold on the Dare County tax record and lived there for a while until I built on the highway. I love Manteo. I don't think there's anywhere better than this place. I have a passion for here. I want to see it constantly improve, like we all do. And my goal is that what I think about this place now is what my kids think about it one day and what their kids think about it one day. So I want to keep this place growing in a good, positive, controlled way that we all appreciate. And I think my job is pretty simple. I'm just a conduit for the residents of Manteo. I take their good ideas and try to work them into town government and make it happen in a good, positive, equitable way for everybody. I believe in equality for all of the town residents and all the sides of Manteo, all the neighborhoods. And I think everybody should be treated fairly. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from candidate Ruth Jane Stetson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruth Jane. I also grew up here. I live on Fernando Street. I was raised by my grandparents, two innkeepers. So I learned the value of hard work at a young age. I even learned how to make a bed and clean a toilet, younger than I'd like to admit. I'm nobody special. I'm just another local resident that pays a lot in taxes and works hard to live here. My husband works for the county, so I get an interesting perspective on how your money's spent on multiple levels. My board would tell you that I do a lot of homework. I study every single statute, every single law, every single question that's brought before us. I do my homework. I never thought I would go to Coates Canon as much as I do and look up statutory authority for our ability to do things, but I'm a lifelong learner. My grandfather was, and I know that that's necessary for this job in order for me to be a good servant, and I take that seriously, the fact that I'm your servant. Yes, some people may say this position is a position of leadership. We pretty much deal with 95% complaints, which is fine, and continue to complain, please. It helps us be better, but that makes us a servant. You know, you're leading us technically. I will say that some of my priorities are definitely to keep your taxes manageable. I would like to leave them like they are. I lobbied this board very hard not to raise taxes this year, and I think we came to a really good understanding on that. I know that high services are expected. A lot of people want services to improve in Manteo. I think we have great services compared to many places across the nation. I traveled in my previous job, but I will do what the citizens want. That's our job. And so when citizens tell us they want something, it's not my agenda, it's yours. And so I will continue to take that going forward. I also think that safety is really important and salaries are really important. It's important that when we look at this housing issue that keeps coming up, we as a government entity using your money to pay your employees, make sure they have a livable wage. So if you have people in the 40s and the 50s, but the AMI in the area is 65,800, it was a couple of years ago, we need to keep that in mind. So there's a lot to think about in this role, and I don't take it lightly. I definitely seek a lot of counsel. I lead with my faith, and I expect that anybody that has an issue with anything I'm doing can come to me, and I expect your criticism, and I will take it gracefully. So that's everything for now. If you have any questions, I'm always available. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, we'll hear from candidate Betty Govan-Selby.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, an organization that I'm proud to be a member of. So I'm actually comfortable with them being here. Thank you all for coming out. I know that it's plenty you could have been doing on this rainy evening, but you chose to hear from me. As they said, my name is Betty Selby. I, too, am a native of Manteo. I was raised right here on the other side of the highway with my 9 siblings. I remember coming down here, walking, my mother giving us ice cream money. We would get ice cream, and those of you who can show by hands know about Darth Walker's Diner. Who knows about the diner down here in Manteo? That's actually, yeah, Miss Mitchell does. That's 108 Budley. Eaton, and that was a country, that was a neighborhood, that was a town diner where you go and I won't say gossip, where you go and get information, vital information. How about that? So I have a passion for Manteo. I was raised here, my roots is here. I have watched as a child up to adult the transformation that Manteo have had. I have been part of that transformation for the last 6 years, serving as your mayor pro tem. I was elected in 2019. The board, thank goodness for a good board, elected me as their mayor pro tem for now the third term, going in my third term. I also was a retired employee for Dare County Schools, where I served 30 years. I started as their payroll clerk in the summer. They offered me a job. When I retired, I was the business manager for the entire Dare County Schools, and where I served our residents and our children. And I also, speaking of children, and that job afforded me, as I moved up the ladder, retiring as the business operation, I was able to experience my knowledge in local, state, and federal budgeting, accounting, classes, all aspects of the accounting system, local government, federal government, and state government. I was exposed to that. My experience covered that in the 30 years that I served, which I served happily. Really didn't want to retire, but technology kind of pushed me on the side there. Am I finished? I'm not quite finished yet. And I'd like to be your mayor. I'm running. I got. Will definitely make a good mayor. And to my family that has came with me, campaign communication manager, thank you so much. Thanks all of y'all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A note to the audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. One of our greeters will grab that from you. If you come up with a question and need a piece of paper, please also raise your hand. All right. So we will begin with candidate Selby. This question is from the League. What is the #1 issue facing Manteo, and how would you solve it?
The number one issue facing Manteo, I would say right off the bat, is parking, and controlling growth.
And to candidate Clisald?
Since I've been here in 91, parking has always been an issue. For some reason, if you drive around 1 or 2 times, you'll usually find a place to park. There are other situations in Manteo, the streets, the sidewalks have been a big issue, and I know Ruth has worked hard and tirelessly on trying to get to the bottom and get those poles moved so people can go up and down the sidewalks. Safety, but as you know from this week, traffic has been horrendous. And I know it's been enhanced by the repaving, but each day during 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock traffic is bad. So I would like to work with DOT, work with Test Judge, our DOT representative, and come up with some ways. And there is a 20-year traffic study that was done a number of years ago. And I have passed that on to Tess to see if we can reignite that. And one of those things would be a traffic circle down by where you guys would know the Front Porch Cafe. The boardwalk is our jewel. That is another thing that I'd like to concentrate on, keep it vibrant, and just the safety of Manteo. I mean, I think, we've had some unfortunate incidents in the last few months, but I think the safety for all people is important, and I think that's what keeps us special because, I mean, most kids and children feel safe walking down our streets. So those are just a few of the items that I think I would address and hope get accomplished.
Thank you. The next question comes from Gwen Taylor, resident of Manteo. We will start with candidate Clissold. Is that right?
It's
Clissold.
Clissold.
Clissold. I'm
I
gonna
can't
get
even
it.
hardly say it, but it's Clissold.
Are there any plans for affordable housing?
We have a representative in here who has worked tirelessly to continue to work on that, I'd say problem, but it's been a problem for years. I think working with the county, I think working with the other towns, we are closer now than we've ever been. Is there going to be a magic bullet that gets it done? We'll just have to wait and see. I know they've located some land in really all the municipalities, including Manteo, Buffalo City. There was a piece down on Bowsertown that we rejected just really because of the volume. It went from one amount of units to another, and we just felt like to the citizens of Manteo, it wasn't fair to expand our sewer capacity to those units not being in the county. And the other part of that is we would not receive the taxes from that facility. And that's where I have a problem. I think it's almost like being double taxed because the county wants the towns to pitch in, but the money that the county has, we've already donated from our tax money to the county, and now they're wanting the town of Manteo to contribute more, so it's almost like being double taxed. But it's still in the works. I think there's a solution, but we just all have to come together and figure it out.
Thank you. Candidate Selby?
I agree with what Todd said, but also what's happening lately is it was the Dare County Housing Task Force, which they have, is chaired by Malcolm and Donna Creef. I have served and went to a couple meetings on that front, and now, instead of it being the Dare County Housing Task Force, they have converted to Dare County Housing Foundation. And I think with the changing of the name, with the research that they have been doing, going back and forward to UNC, looking into how do we build out what is affordable housing or just housing for our residents as well as our essential employees. So that I'm looking forward to what that foundation will be doing, the plans that they will be making for our county, not just our town.
Thank you.
You guys are welcome to chime in at any time.
I keep waiting. The next question is from Laura Allendorf, a resident of Manteo. Manteo can be a food desert on Sundays and Mondays, especially on Monday holidays. Would you support changing the ordinance to allow food trucks as a way to provide more options for tourists and locals? We'll start with candidate Selby.
On Sundays, yes, it is a desert. If I do my walk through here sometime during the day, with any issue that is going to affect citizens and residents of the town of Manteo, I would say put it to the people. I feel it's a need for a food truck. People walking around, and they looking at our historic sites with nowhere to eat. I would certainly be a candidate to support maybe looking in that. But I believe that we should put it to the people. We should have a survey, see how the residents feel about having a food truck or whatever. I will say up front, if this is something that the residents would like to do, let us know. But with that, I also would recommend that it will be local vendors. local vendors, we have so many vendors coming in from different places making money. I think that will be an opportunity for local vendors to make money, because let's be real about it. It's only a few months during the year that they're making the money. So I would really prefer that restriction to give that money, that economy to local vendors.
Thank you. Candidate Clissold?
As a restaurant owner, I've kind of gotten mixed feelings, but I totally understand the Sunday issue because I as well drive through or walk through Manteo, and I feel sorry for the tourists. I mean, they come down, there's one or two restaurants open, some of the shops are open, but it's a complicated issue because are you going to look and tell the food trucks Sundays only? And if that's the case, I could live with that. But I think most of our employees, or I know my employees, Sunday is a day for them to do their worship, to go to church, to have their family reunions. They've worked their butts off for 6 days a week. So, I mean, you got to pick a day, and the business community has talked about kind of staggering the days off. Which that's worked up the beach. I know a lot of restaurants are closed on Wednesdays, some are on Tuesdays. So, I mean, you can stagger, but that's something that the local businesses need to decide. And I think there's a way to work it out. But to just let a business or food truck come down, make a lot of money, not pay taxes, not pay water, not pay, it's rent. I mean, it's kind of unsettling for the businesses that are open on Sunday. So I just think we need to look more into it. I'm not opposed to it, but I would just need to look into it and talk to other fellow food establishments and just kind of get their views as well.
Thank you. Our next question is from Robert Jacobs, a Manteo resident. In regard to the recent shooting by police officers, do you believe that the officers in Manteo are getting all of the training they need to make difficult decisions in these situations? And we'll start with candidate Clissold.
That's more of Eddie's expertise, but I'll do my best. From what I understand in the body footage, that was from our last accident and incident, that officer was lunged at with a knife. And I think any of us, with all the chaos and violence going on within our country right now, everybody's on edge. So to put yourself in that position, would I do the same thing? Would I pull a taser out? Would I shoot her in the leg? I don't know what I would do. But I think Chief Ahart has done a great job giving our officers the opportunity for their training. Bad things happen. I don't think this officer, I feel sorry for everybody involved, but I believe this officer feels horrible, but you do things unexpectedly when unexpected things come at you in a short second. So I don't know the answer to that. I think if as a police officer, and Eddie could address this more, there's never an ending amount of training for police officers. There's ways, they always change. They always have different equipment, defensive mechanisms, and I don't know enough about it, but it's tragic either way. And, but if an officer did need or was lacking training or we felt was behind in training, I think they would be sent to school to be updated on the latest and greatest and possibly preventing something like this in the future.
Thank you. Candidate Selby?
Yes, certainly my condolences go out to the deceased, and my sympathy go out to our officer. I really can't speak on this because I have not seen that I know of, been updated on the investigation, what happened. So As far as training, I do know that there is appropriate amount of money in the budget for training. And what training they get, I honestly do not know.
Thank you. Yes, candidate man?
I've been in law enforcement for 19 years now, and I teach firearms to other officers. I think the question was, did he have enough training? Was that correct?
That's correct.
And
Would you
then
like
should
to
there be
confirm?
more training? Is that?
In regard to the recent shootings by police officers, do you believe that the officers in Manteo are getting all the training they need to make difficult decisions in these situations?
So I think the way that the question's framed is a little funny. We all could be trained more. That's just, everybody could be trained more on everything. So I've been on the board now for 8 years, and if you looked at a graph from prior to 8 years to now, the training budget in the police department has gone up. Do I think they're adequately trained to handle dangerous situations? Yes. Do I think that everybody could use more training? Yes. So certainly, he was trained to handle that situation, and certainly, everybody in law enforcement could use more training. That's a tragic event, no doubt. No officer wants to use deadly force. It's the last thing we want to do. Nobody wants to do it. I'm sorry about the situation for everybody involved. I don't think there's not a good outcome to that. But I'm confident that that officer had enough training to handle that situation the way that he was supposed to. And I'm also confident that everybody needs more training.
Thank you. Candidate Bassnight?
I'll just finish up with thank you for the question, and first of all, thank you for the responses. I'll come from a different perspective and just reassure everyone that from a communicative perspective, meaning what the officers, Chief Eilert, and the rest of the staff and team are doing to work with the town, to work with the board, to be as transparent as possible about needs. Also, what we can do to get funding for that. That's something I've never experienced before. And a friend of mine was the chief of police in San Diego, and my other friend was the mayor of San Diego. And I can assure you, they didn't talk the way that the small town does for worst case scenarios. But there's a lot of creative things they're looking at too, like more simulation and other scenarios that will help them prepare for that worst case scenario and not have to experience it for the first time. So my heart goes out to both the victim, of course, and our officer, but I just wanted to let folks know that there's a lot of bi-directional communication from both the officers' needs, what they're seeing, preparing for the worst case, hoping that it never happens. But we have a lot of that out here that we have to prepare for with all the visitors that we have coming through. And then on the other side of the coin, it's the storms. And so our disaster preparedness, whatever that is something that we have taken to a new level, and communications at the core of it. So that was my input from a different perspective.
Thank you. Our next question is from Robin Fountain, a Manteo resident. How should our town address the reality of global warming and sea level rise? We'll start with candidate Selby.
We have done some studies and some research on that. And just to keep up with the latest of, as far as science, and continue to research and see. Of course, we know it affects coastal communities a little different than other communities. Continue education and research on those items.
Thank you. Candidate Closard?
We are in the midst of working with resilience with UNC, NC State, to address some of the concerns of global warming. Their final plan has not been presented yet, and that'll be in the next month. But this board and others have been working hard trying to address what we need to do, how to prepare for who knows what. But we all, I think, know that global warming. And today, I mean, driving here, I had to go through water at Tugwell Corner because the water had risen, and it wasn't really windy. So over the last few years, you can tell the water is rising. So hopefully we'll be proactive, and we'll get the final report in the next couple months and be able to deal and see the suggestions they've given us.
Thank you. Hannah, before I start, I'm going to mess up your last name, and I'm sorry. Our next question is from Hannah Forsland, a Manteo resident.
Oh, that's going to be a loaded one.
How will you ensure transparency and accountability in communications both inside the board and out in the community during your term? We will address this to candidate Clisald.
I mean, personally, I feel we do a great job already. I don't think anybody on this board tries to do anything underhanded. I think we try to be as transparent as possible. Anytime anybody has a questions or concern, I think they're answered honestly. I don't feel like, I feel this board is the most transparent board that I've ever witnessed since I've been here since 1991. So I think we've done a good job.
Thank you. Candidate Selby?
Well, I'm surprised that Hannah asked that question, considering she served on the board with us. I think what we're doing publicly with the media, we have an excellent website that is very informational. We have public comments at the beginning of every meeting, so concerns and being transparent could be addressed at those times. Public comments, and of course, we do the media. We send out letters. We also, for important events, we also put it on the water bill, which everybody has a water bill. So we do notices on the water bill. Any suggestions, let us know at public comments.
Thank you. Candidate Stetson?
Hi, yes, I just want to say that I will give you a copy of anything at any time and until the attorney tells me to stop doing that. I already do that. People have asked me for budget documents when we've been working on them, conversations about budget things that we've said in public comment in regards to the budget and workshops and things. I can't even, there's a list of things that is just flashing through my head with different citizens that I've given them. So if you think that we lack transparency, just ask, and we will gladly give you whatever you want at any time, because again, we serve you, so.
Thank you. Candidate Mann?
Yeah, I think 6, 7 years ago, we didn't have televised meetings. So we've started to grow that way where you can watch our meetings on the internet, on the government access channel, I believe. So we're getting more transparent than we were previously. And I think there's always ways to improve that. Sure, there's probably media pushes we could do when we come out with information. We tried to poll citizens on what seem to be hot topics through the water bill and media pushes, surveys. But yeah, that's one of those constant improvements. I think there's always something we can do to improve transparency. I will say some of the things about living in a small town, we get all kinds of crazy questions, the who, what, why of a situation. And I'll say I'll answer anything unless it's a personnel matter, and then I'm not going to talk about somebody's employment issues or personnel matters. That's something I'm not going to talk about, and we shouldn't talk about, but anything else is all public knowledge.
Thank you. Our next question is a league question. What infrastructure issues does Manteo face, and how will you address those issues? We'll start with candidate Selby.
Growth. Of course, it's growth, making sure we have enough capacity for its water and sewer. Of course, making sure that adequate housing that is fair to everybody. what we consider as far as infrastructure, also when it comes to housing, is what is affordable. I mean, what's affordable to you might not be affordable to me. And continue to monitor our flooding, working with, like Todd said, with the resiliency grant that we got. And basically, that's it.
Thank you. Candidate Clissold?
There again, I mean, I think our water sewer treatment plant is our golden goose. And I think we are all responsible and we all monitor it. We all listen to Josh to see where we are on it. That's our most important infrastructure, I think, in Manteo. Our roads, as I said earlier, I mean, I think the town is, Roanoke Island itself has just gotten so popular that it has caused congestion. And I think our partnership with the county and DOT to come up with a solution to make it better is important. And I think that's something that we need to fast track if possible. Our sidewalks, and I'm not sure, I know most of these people in here, and I know Bill Massey, I mean, he walks the sidewalks 10 miles a day. And I mean, he can tell you, that is an important part if you need it. If you are in a wheelchair or you are in a walker and you have to go out into the street to get around a telephone pole, to me, that's an important part of, because we are a walking town. I think our waterfront is a jewel. I think it's kind of been neglected in the last couple years. But safety, that's always our top priority as well. But overall, the infrastructure in a whole, I think this board is constantly looking at better ways and trying to get in touch with these. I mean, in the old days, you could call Dominion Power or Virginia Power, and, they would work with you. These days, you got to go through so much bureaucracy to get even an answer, to get somebody to come here to help you work through the goal you're trying to get to.
Thank you. Candidate Setson?
The board knows, recently I found an RFQ from the town of Leland, which includes, an RFQ is essentially what we have to do as government. We have to put out to find an engineering firm and a consulting firm that essentially can help us with the infrastructure upgrades we want. We've been wanting to redo our sidewalks for a long time. I see sidewalks as a part of a recreational package. There's so much more than just a tiny little slip for people to walk on. People run. You need it for exercise. We've looked at different materials that can go into your sidewalks, like they've done outside of Alexandria, that have a better impact on your knees. There's all kinds of innovation out there, but we need a major firm to help us with the entire project on both sides of town. We'd like to look into undergrounding the power lines for storms. We have a lot of senior citizens, and when the power goes out, it causes a lot of confusion in dementia patients, I've learned. But it's great for storms, it's great for safety. Our infrastructure for our stormwater is also tied into that. Eddie has helped me even find stormwater pipes from as far back as the 20s, I think, some of the stuff we talked about. Part of what happened with our stormwater issue and the history of this area, my grandfather was 91 when he passed last year, and he walked me through the whole town and told me what we had changed. We let go of a lot of ditches and retention ponds. So water must go somewhere. So we are going to have to probably in the next 20 years add some ditches and retention ponds. I think that's just a fact if we really want to keep our heads above water. May not be popular, and I understand Florida has mosquito fish that can be put in the creeks and the ditches to deal with the mosquitoes, so that's eco-friendly. We won't be dealing with chemicals, but the infrastructure needs are vast, and they are going to require a very large set of eyes on them in the way of a firm and our next town manager, hopefully, to take that on. But we are constantly educating ourselves on how to make sure that that entire plan is really well thought out, all the way from the stormwater to the undergrounding of the power lines and sidewalks, and maybe extending them. We'll know. We'll see. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question is from Robert Keeney, a resident of Manteo. Do you support the use of occupancy tax revenue to support improvements to Manteo's infrastructure, such as sidewalks, wastewater plant, boardwalks, docks, etc.? And we will start, I think I might have lost track, with candidate Clissold.
Yes, I would be in support of that.
Thank you. Candidate Selby?
Well, sidewalks, some of the sidewalks we own and some of the sidewalks NCDOT own. I don't support it. I do not.
Thank you. Candidate Stetson?
The Tourism Bureau. I will be very kind in my words, but 4 towns combined equal what the $7.8 million versus 6.4 is what the Tourism Bureau gets versus 4 towns combined from that meals and occupancy tax. So we're not working with a lot. We get the smallest slice of the pie. But I went back through 15 years of their spending in their budget documents, and they do regularly, they do everything from beach access repairs to major sidewalk projects. And so I don't see that it would be outside of their scope of work based on their historical spending. And so I think that it would be prudent for us to lobby them to get a slice of that back, considering that we definitely bear a large brunt of visitors around tourism, maybe larger than Southern Shores, for example. So I think maybe we're owed it to a degree. That's all.
Thank you. Our next question is a league question. I feel like this is repetitive, so if it is, please speak up. What could be done to alleviate our traffic problems? We'll start with candidate Selby.
Well, we have had, like it was said, a traffic study with the latest building, COA projects that we have going on right now. I think another traffic study should be done. And based on that traffic study, make the necessary improvements that is recommended by DOT.
Thank you. Candidate Clissold?
As I said earlier, there was a 20-year plan done, probably in 2016. And there was some opposition to it, connecting some of the back roads, which is valid. But I think there was a way that we could come up with a compromise to help alleviate at least 50% of what we're dealing with now. And I know a lot of people have opposition to traffic circles, but I think the way our lights are staggered in Manteo with the school, and now they're talking about putting another light down right by the library, which I think is also going to create more backup. So we've got to be innovative and work with DOT and work with the county and come up with ways to try to alleviate it. I know at some point, they had talked in some of the plans that we've seen had showed a possible center lane, or taking the center lane out of what's going downtown. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think working with DOT and their engineers and kind of fast tracking and working with the 20-year plan that we had years ago, we can come up with something to at least begin the improvement of our traffic. Because it is, I don't know how long, we all know coming and leaving in the afternoons or in the morning is unbelievable. You're wondering where all these people are going on the north end. Roanoke Island is popular, and we just need to get ahead of it. And I feel right now that we aren't ahead of it, and we need to do some catching up. So hopefully this board and our connection with DOT will get that moving ahead.
Thank you. Candidate Bass Knight?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is a really good one. Uncle Mark would always say, there's always a better way to get it done, boy. Keep your eyes open and look. As I think about Manteo, many of you have been in the theater. I'd like to show this old video from Manteo in the 30s and early 40s when President Roosevelt was out here. We had as much of a parking problem then as we do now. It's crazy, but I think the solution is to bring everybody to the table. I'm excited to continue this work with NCDOT, also NC State, and bringing everyone together for this strategic plan that we've been working on, because I can assure you two things that are detrimental to a town. Whether your town is where everybody goes to work, you get all the warehouses or the office buildings, or like us, you get both. It's jobs and tourism. But the surest way to affect or really hurt a town's growth, economy, and just survivability is to either bypass it with a freeway or make it so miserable getting around within the town that people will voluntarily bypass it and not come back. So I think the timing is now. I think what we have as far as a lot of data with experts and people who like Tess, who are willing to come to the table, that love this place as much as we do, and say, how can we do it effectively, efficiently, and also environmentally appropriate, which is one of the questions that was brought up. And I can assure you, this board has been 100% aligned on how to get all those done. And I've never been a part of a board that had that much communication and that much synergy around something. So it's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Catherine Fagan, a Dare County resident. This is a multi-part question, so please feel free to ask me to repeat it. How did a building as tall as the Pearl get approved? How are they able to take over the parking lot across from Ortega's? Will such large buildings be approved in the future? Is parking considered when plans are approved? We'll start with candidate Selby.
Well, we have a planning board, and the planning board makes a decision that is referred to the board. The planning board, that's what the planning board do. They look at all the zoning, the ordinance, building size, and approve it, ask questions. How it was built was based on everything that we know of that was legal and within the parameters of our zoning and ordinance laws.
Thank you. Candidate Clissold?
I know that's been the talk of the town for the last few years, and I was not on the board when it passed, but in defense of the board, it went through all the channels, and it passed park, it passed planning board, and it came to the commission, and they felt it passed all the hurdles to get done. So what you can do after that is pass it. I mean, if you've had two boards or an advisory board plus your planning board, which is an advisory board as well, it was passed. It's done. You can have your view on it. What was there earlier was a similar building, smaller, with the ceiling caving in. It had been sitting there for 5 or 6 years. Is it what everybody wants? Is it does everybody love it? No. Is it an improvement to me and to others? I don't know. It's the beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. The parking lot issue, that is something that is still in the works and the talks, and that almost has to go between the property owners themselves. So that's being worked out with, I guess, their attorneys, and I'm not sure exactly what the answer is on the parking lot. It's been a parking lot for as long as I've been here. And I don't know if it's officially in a parking lot or not, but that's going to have to be worked out with the property owners that own that lot. And there's like 14 or 15 owners of that little piece of land. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think it will shake itself out, hopefully before it reaches court.
Thank you. Audience, if you have any questions, please do raise your hand. This question is from Laura Allendorf, a resident of the town of Manteo. I am very concerned about rising authoritarianism in our government. Do you commit to protecting our democracy?
Raising what?
Authoritarianism.
On a local level? I don't think we have that problem.
It just says in our government.
Well, I'm not here to discuss national politics. So my policy is it shouldn't be about the Republicans. It shouldn't be about the Democrats. It should be about Manteo people. It should be about the M. The radical left, the radical right, I don't think you have any of those up here. So the answer to that question is you take that question to the Senate or higher than the town of Manteo.
Thank you. Candidate Selby?
Anything that starts at the top trickles down to the bottom. Anything that's federal is going to come down to local, period. And being the minority, I will protect democracy at any means necessary.
Thank you. And I do apologize for being tongue-tied tonight. Not common. Last one. This will be our last question for the evening. This is a league question. What is the biggest issue facing the Outer Banks and Manteo in the next 5 to 10 years? We'll start with candidate Selby.
Growth and infrastructure. I think that will affect the county, trickling down to the towns, all towns, not just Manteo.
Thank you. Candidate Clissold?
I agree. I mean, I think great places get busier and busier and busier until it gets so busy that it's not popular anymore. So I mean, it's a delicate balance, trying to keep what we have quaint and nice, but also keep an eye on, things not going out of control. Like I said, with the traffic as we have now, we already see that this town is, from when I first was downtown, it was in survival mode pretty much. Wintertime, you worked on a line of credit, and slowly through the years, people have discovered Manteo. And I always give Monica Thibodeau up in Duck, we always have this little rival that Manteo has caught up to Duck, because Manteo is special, and people come and see it. And, there's people that have been coming here for years and years and come to Manteo, and they're like, we never knew it was here. Well, they know it's here now, and word is out. And I just think we need to take control and have guidance and procedures in place we can't do away with growth, but we can hopefully have them come and see the Manteo way of doing business and construction, and try to keep the Candy Kingdoms out of here and whatever else. I hate to call them out, but I've got a fellow commissioner up the beach that I just feel like they've dropped the ball on zoning. And he said, well, it's in the zoning. And I said, well, your job as a commissioner can change the zoning, because the residents of your area are not happy with what's going on.
Thank you. Candidate Stetson?
Mayor Pro Tem Selby brought up a good point about things trickling down from the federal government. With losing our ability to control our ordinances, our growth in our town, which you guys know has not been repealed, we still lost that power. If we were to head towards a lot of development that's very dense, we're going to run into major infrastructure issues. I spoke to a firefighter and asked him a scenario. So say we're in a bad storm, a lightning strikes a condo in Pirates Cove, 3rd floor, and it lights on fire. Say Gina Owen's house behind Ace Hardware lights on fire because the power line goes down. She has a bad line right there, actually, which we talked to Dominion about fixing that line directly, met him in person about it. And so say there's 2 fires that happen at the same time. Are you equipped with the trucks? No. They could run into a scenario where they need multiple high ladder trucks to fight that Pirates Cove fire. So does Mosquina's house burn to the ground? Imagine having to make that decision. So I don't think that we are equipped at all for the type of development that is definitely gunning for our area. So I think growth needs to be done to such a level of intelligence that I think that we need many more players at the table consulting than just who we have. So that's all.
Thank you. Now we will hear the candidates' closing remarks. Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I
was gonna make
didn't see you,
short comment.
candidate Mann.
I think the issues that we face today are probably the same issues that our parents and grandparents faced here. I think growth has always been an issue. It's how do we control that growth responsibly with our infrastructure and not let it be a burden on the people that are already here. The last thing I want to do is tax a struggling family out of their home. So controlling that growth in a responsible manner, I think, is the most important 5 and 10-year issues. How that happens, I think, will constantly change. Our 20-year plan that happened 20 years ago is not exactly applicable today. There's a lot of things that need to be improved on. So I think we need to constantly review future plans, codes, ordinances. It's a living, breathing document that we need to constantly have our fingers in and constantly review. I think that's how we help things in the future.
Thank you. Now we will hear the candidates' closing remarks. We will go in reverse order from opening statements. First, we will start with candidate Betty Govan-Selby.
Well, again, thank you for coming. We're winding down the night. As I said before, I'm all about the people. If you have been to my meetings, you will know that I'm always referencing, take it to the residents. We actually, y'all don't work for us. We work for you. And going into being a mayor, I have that concept as Mayor Pro Tem, and I will have the same concept as your mayor. My experience, as I went over in the beginning, my experience as a business operation manager, working my way up, my familiarity to Manteo, the growth, the transformation, I have the history for that. I am known to really be very nosy on your behalf if I need to. I think communications is key, not communications with us, the 6 of us, but communications with you also, keeping an open dialogue. I'm not saying come here every meeting, every day with complaints, but we do want to hear from you. I think we have media, we have emails that anytime the public wants to address us, that's an open forum, in my opinion. I will continue to work hard as your mayor. I have served as Mayor Pro Tem again for the last 6 years, and I was elected not by you as your Mayor Pro Tem, but by my colleagues, by the Board of Commissioners. So I feel at this time I am ready to be mayor. I want to be mayor, and I know I will be a good candidate for your mayor.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from candidate Ruth Jane Stetson.
So I'm definitely maybe a little bit of a different candidate than everybody else, or really anybody in politics. I realize that I don't fit in anywhere. I need my own party. That's just not the tinfoil hat party. It's not that, I promise. But I'm an odd duck for sure. My husband would say yes, absolutely. So I think I bring different things to the table, and I think my board might even say that. I know Eddie said that before. He definitely thinks I'm an odd duck, I would guess too. This year we made sunflowers available at Town Hall for free for all citizens because sunflowers are great for phytoremediation. One of our sisters, Michelle Lewis, on the other side of town, said that they had a well contamination. And so that inspired the idea of, well, there's studies all across the nation, even in Flint, Michigan, where lead was removed from the soil with sunflowers. So if we have a contamination issue, let's do something green and interesting to try and solve it. I also used my own money to buy a well testing kit, as well as a PFAS testing kit, so that I could get some answers for myself on what's in our water. Water quality is an issue that many of us share, and I'm definitely always keeping my ear to the ground on that. I think that I pay a lot of attention to your money, down to every single dollar that we spend, every cent that we spend. I had 7 budget workshop meetings this last year for a town of this size, where we have a very small budget of $7 million, but I was taught to be frugal. My grandfather didn't buy a new pair of pants for 30 years. He just mended them. I had to mend them for him. So I just know how hard everybody works for their money. We work really hard. Everybody does, probably this entire room. And so I think it's really important that we value your dollar and your time, because you're all made in the image of God, and I value your life as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from candidate Eddie Mann.
Sorry, that was hard to follow. Ruth is, I'll speak for everybody else up here, not myself. I think you have a really diverse board currently that works well together. Ruth is the most, she researches things more than anybody I've ever met in my life, for good. It's amazing what she finds out and how hard she works. Michael has really good ideas about how to bring other income to the town other than tax revenue. Tax is an easy thing to say, but Michael's been good about thinking about other ideas. The two candidates for mayor, I don't think you can go wrong. I think they're both great people. There's not a bad person up here. It really is a good group. I'm happy to work with them. I'm glad they're working for you. And I'm not trying to advocate for myself here. I just am glad you're all here. Glad you're all voting. And I think the most important thing about this town is not any of us, it's how active this town is. We have a really active, engaging town, and I appreciate everybody bringing forth their ideas, comments, concerns, questions, showing up at the meetings, the charrettes. It's a really active town, and we're fortunate to be a part of it. So thank you all for being a part of it.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from candidate Michael Bassnight.
Thank you so much. I love this evening. I love this time with you all, and I love the opportunity to be up here with this board. I'll echo what Eddie said. As for the two candidates for mayor, they love this town, and I enjoy and love both of them. So you can't go wrong. But I can assure you that some of the things that we're all focused on from the town's perspective is that, y'all, we're 20 miles out in the middle of the ocean by choice, most of us. And the great thing about this town, and every survey I've tried to put out my own little ad hoc surveys or talking to folks, the number one thing that they love the most about their time here, when I ask them very directly and specifically, it's not our historic buildings. They love all that. It's the people. It's you. And that's exactly who we work for. But I think in the challenges we've addressed today and the opportunities we've got to do something better going forward, it's going to take all of us, because again, when the storm hits, we're all affected equally. And I think that's what we have here tonight. I think that's what we have with the questions that were asked, with the answers that you received. But I can assure you, I'll reiterate, there's always a better way to get it done. We've been looking with quite a few folks, experts, about the sustainability going forward, how to do things such that fire isn't a concern, like Manteo has burned down 2 or 3 times with storms. But the synergy, as I used that word earlier tonight, with this board to try to address these using technology and expertise, I've never seen anything like it. And so it's exciting to be here tonight and to be able to be working with you all in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lastly, we'll hear from candidate Todd Klizold.
I don't know about the rest of the candidates, but people always ask, why do you want to get involved? And why do you want to put up with what we have to put up with sometimes? And the bottom line is because this board, especially me, being in the same building since 1991, have seen so many things change. I love the town. I really do. I feel like I'm from here. I'm not. I'm the only one up here that's not a native. But I've been here since 91. I've tried to be involved. And I got involved because I wanted to make sure to steer this town in the right direction. I think we'll do that. And I think as mayor, I can help guide this board in the direction. I think I can keep us a little more in contact with the county and state. And most important, my fiduciary responsibility as mayor, and I think that kind of gets some people's goat that that works within the town, because I would like to oversee where our money's going. I do that with the Tourist Bureau. I sign every check that goes out of there. And not that it's thinking anybody's doing anything wrong, but it gives me the ability to communicate to this board where the money's going, if we think it's a good idea or it's not a good idea. So I think, being a business owner since 98, and having a successful business and great employees and leading them, I think I could do a good job as your mayor. And I would really appreciate your vote and your support on November 4th. And I do appreciate you guys taking time out of your night to come visit us and come and sit and ask us questions, because you need to. And I always try to tell people, please come to our meetings and express yourself during public comment, because that's the best way to get our attention, to get your concerns answered. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. This concludes the Town of Manteo Candidate Forum. We wish to thank the candidates for their participation and the public for their attendance and questions. We want to thank the Town of Manteo for the use of their meeting room and for videotaping the forum. We will post the video on our website, lwvdarenc.org, and on our YouTube page. The Dare County Current TV channel will broadcast the forum. Please check their websites for dates and times. I will now turn this meeting back to Coordinator Midget.
I want to talk about Vote 411 just for a minute. This year, we've asked all candidates to participate in the League's online voter guide called 411.org. This is a one-stop shop website that voters may access on their phone or their computers. Key in your address, and you can view your ballot before you go to the polls, candidate information, their philosophy statements, social media links, and their responses to a few questions in their own words. Please check it out. The signs outside, if you just want a refresher, 411.org. We've got several signs out there. Okay, 2 of the 5 candidates this evening have already responded to their 411 invitations, and I expect others too. Before you leave, we invite you to stop by our information table for information about important dates for absentee voting, for voter registration. There's a nice card we have with all the information that those of you who know all the rules can pass on to someone else. And on the back, we listed the candidate forums. There's one more in Kitty Hawk next week. And you can go to that if you like, okay? We've had 3 so far this week. If you're not already a member, we would love to have you join the League. Membership forms are available on this table back here. Remember, you'll be required to present acceptable photo ID in order to vote. That's addressed on here. The last day to register is Friday, October 10th. That's 2 days from now. If you miss that date, you can still register during what they call one-stop voting. When you're early voting, during the early voting period, you can register then, but you do it all right then. You have to have all your ID information with you. And that's at the site, the regular site down here at the county complex. Early voting begins on Thursday, October 16th. That's next week until November 1st, Saturday. So there's one Saturday voting day during early voting. That's the last day. I'm almost done. Absentee ballots must be returned to the Board of Elections by November 4th, that's election day, at 7:30. There's no grace period. If you don't think it's going to get through the mail, carry it down there to the voting place. Okay, one more thing. Questions not used tonight will be emailed to the candidates so they can know your interests. So if you didn't hear your question, they will get to hear it. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
If the League would allow me, I just wanted to say a special appreciation for Miss Marion Midget. She's been at this a long time. I mean, she's a legend when it comes to organizing and political work, and I thank you. Some of us in here, she was our teacher. She taught some of us, and she's still teaching us by making us come to forums and doing things like that. So I sincerely appreciate your longevity and your expertise. Thank you, Ms. Midget.
Thank you, Betty. Be sure and stop by the table.